Well, hello friends. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Holly and this is Life After 45, where we talk about all things life after 45. Today, I want to do a little bit of a different video and talk to you about things that I would never do in my 40s. And excuse the way I look, I've been working all day. If you don't know, I'm a licensed esthetician, but I'm also a licensed long-term care administrator. So I run a nursing home during the day. And you know, sometimes days just get a little crazy. Today was one of those days and I just look nuts. But anyways, I did want to go ahead and make this video because it is something that I've been thinking about, that's been on my mind. And I thought we could start a conversation about this. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So the first thing that I would never do now that I'm in my 40s is never not wash my face. I would never go to bed without washing my face first. Even if I didn't wear makeup that day, I still would not go to bed without washing my face. Now, I don't wash my face in the mornings because I do have dry, dehydrated skin. So I just splash water on my face in the morning. I don't want to strip my face of oils. Again, I'm not an oily girl. So for me, the morning time's not a big deal. But evening, especially if I've worn makeup, I've put sunscreen on, I've just been out and about all day, I'm going to wash my face. Now I remember sometimes being younger, and I have a friend, like a best friend that's quite a bit younger, and she will go to bed all the time without washing her face. And I'm like, do not do that. Learn from my mistakes. Because when you're younger and you're out super late, you've gone out dancing, you've done all the things, sometimes you're just stinking tired when you get home and you just want to go straight to bed. And so when you're younger, you do. Or when you're in college, you do. However, that's very, very bad for your skin. That will start affecting your skin later on down the road. It's kind of the same thing with being out in the sun and getting burnt or not using sun protection and just exposing yourself to the sun. In the heat of the moment, those things don't show up on your skin. It's 20, 30 years down the road where you start getting all the sunspots, when you start seeing the melasma and the sun damage that has done to you. It's the same thing with not washing your face. That will play a role in your skin later on down the road. So that is the very first thing that I would not do now that I'm in my 40s. Second thing that I would not do now that I'm in my 40s is be too rough on my skin, particularly the skin on my face. Our body skin is a lot thicker and tougher. Our facial skin, not so much. It's very fragile, especially around the eyes. If I get really close, y'all can see that I have really crepey skin under my eyes because for multiple reasons. It's not just one thing, but part of that is because I was very rough on my skin and I didn't think much about that. And that has shown up as I've aged. Part of that is aging, part of it is because I have really extreme allergies where my eyes swell, I rub them. There are many contributing factors also along with just getting older. But part of that too is because I was rough on my skin. So now that I'm in my mid-40s, I am I try to be very, very gentle on my facial skin, especially around my eyes. Oftentimes, if you see me, I will pat, 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 pat. You know, they always tell you to use your ring finger because it is the weakest. So, you know, if you use your middle finger, you might pat a little too hard, right? It gets a little too aggressive. But with your ring finger, you can just pat very lightly. The products around your eyes. Now, oftentimes I'll go back and watch my videos and it really looks like I'm tugging on my skin. I don't I think it's just the way it comes across on camera, because I am very aware of how I am touching my skin and tugging on it, because I want to prevent more crepiness and wrinkling under my eyes. It's something I'm very self-conscious about. So I try to be very, very conscious of how I am doing things to my face. But that is number 2. I would not be too rough on my skin. That also goes for using exfoliants. I do a glycolic at night, maybe once or twice a week, and then I do a lactic acid in the morning. After I do my vitamin C, I'll put on a lactic acid, and I try to stick with those kinds of exfoliants as opposed to, I mean, we all talk about the St. Ives apricot scrub. Going in with a mechanical exfoliant, it's not necessarily something you can't do or shouldn't do necessarily. You just need to be really, really careful with what you're using on your face and how rough you're going with it and how often. The third thing that I would never do now that I'm in my 40s is not wear sunscreen. And I feel like this has been so shoved down everybody's throats lately, but for such a good reason. It's actually something that's really wonderful that we're all pushing, and that is to wear your sunscreen. Even if it is not summertime, even if the sun isn't shining, even if I'm not gonna be outside, I slather my skin with sunscreen. It has made the biggest difference in my skin since I've started doing that. The rule of thumb, and I can't remember if it's like a teaspoon measurement, I just do the finger method. I use my 3 fingers and I take my sunscreen down each finger all the way down, and then I just apply that all over, also my neck and also the backs of my hands, because sometimes lighting is also very harsh and can affect your skin as well. So if you're under like fluorescent lights and things like that. Also keep in mind, even if you are going to be inside but you're driving to get there, the sun penetrates through those car windows and windshields. There's a study that was done, if I can find the picture, I'll pop it up here, where a truck driver shows the 2 sides of his face. So he shows the side that was exposed when he was driving to the sun, and it's crazy the difference in the wrinkles versus the side that wasn't exposed. So keep that in mind. Also keep in mind, when you're driving, your hands on the steering wheel are being exposed to the sun. That can really play a role in affecting your skin. I keep sunscreen in my purse. I used to keep it in my car, but did you know having your sunscreen in the car and exposed to high heat can alter the status of your sunscreen? So it can actually change the chemical components of your sunscreen, and thus making it ineffective and lowering the SPF. So if you're going to use sunscreen and reapply, maybe you leave work and it's sunny, so you want to put some on your hands, keep that in your purse and not in your car. Just a fun little fact. The next thing I would never do in my 40s is having too many products in my skincare routine. You do not have to have the 12-step Korean, there's the 12-step Korean skincare regimen. You don't have to do all that. You need to find the things that are most important to you that you want to target. So for instance, for myself, it's targeting the wrinkles and crepiness under my eyes and my crow's feet and forehead. So I use tretinoin for that. The other thing that I'm very self-conscious about is the texture of my skin. So I've been using vitamin C, I use the lactic acid, I use the glycolic acid, and also the tretinoin will also help with that. But those are the things you need to figure out, probably your 2 biggest issues that you have, and try to target those. Don't try to do everything. My skin is also very dry and dehydrated, so I also work on hydration with my moisturizer, and not just that, but drinking more water, eat more foods that are hydrating. But find the things that you really need to target, and don't try to target every little thing. Don't try to target something that your friend is targeting, because that may not be a big issue for you. Work on a few things at a time. Don't overwhelm yourself with 12 steps that you need to do every morning, every night. That just gets to be too much. Simplify it. I don't use a ton of products. I think I use maybe 5 in the morning. And then at night, I usually use 2, sometimes 3. So I keep it very simple, because you're gonna stick with something that's a little easier and more simple to do. The next thing that I would not do in my 40s kind of piggybacks onto the last one with the amount of products, is trying more than one new product at a time. If you start doing that, you are gonna have no idea if your skin reacts, which product that's reacting to, or if it works really well, which product is working really well. If you have a set routine and then you want to try something new, try one product. Use that for a little while. See how your skin reacts. If that's fine, if that doesn't cause any issues, great. Then try the next product. Let your skin get used to that for a couple of weeks. See how it reacts. That way, if your skin has a reaction, you know which product it is, and you're not gonna have to try to figure out and eliminate. Okay, shifting gears a little bit, the next thing that I would not do now that I'm in my 40s is saying yes to appease others. I have not really ever struggled a whole lot with saying no to people if I didn't want to do something. For the most part, if I said no, most people knew my no meant no. Not always. Of course, there were times, especially being younger, that I was swayed a little bit more here and there. But I have friends that really struggle in this department, and I would imagine a lot of you do as well, where you just feel guilty saying no, and you put too much on your plate at one time, and then it stresses you out, and then you lose track of yourself, and you don't have time for yourself to keep yourself healthy. It's okay. Let this be your sign that it is okay to say no to something. If you don't want to do it, if your heart isn't in it, if you don't have the time, if you don't have the money, it's okay to say no. You're not letting people down. And if for some reason they feel like you are and they tell you that you are letting them down, sorry. You've got to learn to take care of yourself. And if you just want a day or a night to sit at home and watch trashy TV or good TV, or you want to come home early and go to bed early, or you want to go home and take a nap, or you want to go home and play with your dog, do it. Say no to something. If you would like to do something different, don't overwhelm yourself. Don't overcrowd your schedule. Don't overcommit. That's one of the things that leads to burnout so fast. And that's one of the things that makes us lose ourselves very quickly. As women, if you're married, if you have children, at this point, maybe some of you have grandchildren, you have a job, you volunteer somewhere, you have a lot of roles and hats that you have to wear. Say yes to the things that you want to say yes to. Let your yes be yes and your no be no, and be okay with that. I'm giving you permission. Say no. It's okay. Going along with that, something else I wouldn't do in my 40s is overbook myself. This very much goes along with the last one, in that I won't say yes just to appease others. I only say yes to the things I truly want to be a part of and that I feel like I can commit to. I'm not gonna overbook myself anymore. I have definitely done that in the past, and a lot of the times it's because I wanted to do all those things. It wasn't saying yes and overbooking myself to appease others. It's because I really wanted to do all of these things. But what I've learned is that if you overbook yourself, you're really doing yourself a disservice because you can't give fully if you're exhausted and overbooked. So choose things, choose your times wisely, have better time management. That was always my biggest problem, is I thought I could fit in all these things, and really I couldn't, and it was a problem with my time management. So if that's something you need to look at that. You might be able to fit more in your schedule than you realize, or you might be able to shed some things off, because if you want to commit to several things, make sure you have the time to do that. Make sure it's quality. Don't have your plate overflowing with things and then nothing really gets done in a quality way. Does that make sense? So don't overbook yourself. Choose the things wisely that you would like to invest your time in, and invest your time in those things. And the last thing that I would not do in my 40s is blow my friends off. I think when we're younger, it's easy to do because maybe you have a hot new date, or I don't know. That's the main thing that comes to mind is boys. Like when you're younger, you blow your friends off because you're gonna go hang out with this boy, or you have a hot date, or someone asks you to do something at the last minute, a guy, and you're like, absolutely, I'm going, and you blow your friends off even though you have plans with them. Stop doing that. Don't do that. Although finding a life partner is important, and of course you want to invest time in that as well, and it's kind of natural sometimes to do that in the beginning when you're very excited about dating someone new. We all get it. But as you get older, you realize just how important your friends are. It is so important to have adult friendships. It's so important to invest in your girlfriends. So as I've gotten older, that's become very, very important to me. And though I am married and have a husband and I devote time to him, I also make time for my girlfriends because that is healthy and that's important. And as we get older, I don't know about you guys, but I know a lot. I mean, I run a nursing home, so I see a lot of older people. The ones that seem the healthiest and the happiest are the ones that have maintained friendships into adulthood. The ones that seem the loneliest, they may have a spouse and children, but the ones that seem the loneliest are the ones that don't have friends outside of that. And that's really sad. Friendships are so important. You can't rely on your spouse or your children to fulfill every need. So don't blow your friends off. Make that a priority. Make that important. Even if it's you don't live near your friends. I don't live near my best friends. So we make time for every morning we Marco Polo each other. Praise God for that app. My best friend lives 2 hours away. We try to touch base on the phone once a week. We're both super busy, so we don't get to talk more often like we used to. We used to talk every day, but neither of us have that time anymore. But we still make it a priority to speak on the phone, have a phone conversation once a week. So just make that a priority. Reach out to your friends. Sometimes no one knows who to reach out to who. Well, they haven't called me. Well, I haven't heard from them. Well, they've just forgotten about me. And really, it's just life gets busy, and there's really no bad blood. There's no intentional forgetting of your friends. It's just life gets busy. So it's nice when someone reaches out to you. So you do the same in return. Those are my tips and things that I personally would never do now that I'm in my 40s. And I hope that gives you guys some ideas. I hope it gives you some inspiration. Please share below some things that you guys feel that you would never do now that you're older. What are some things? Let's get the conversation going. Please share below some things that you also would not do now that you're older. All right, guys, that's it for this video. Thank you for joining me. If you liked it, like it. If you loved it, love it. And please subscribe and share and join me on this journey of life after 45. Thanks, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.